dying patient to his office, hooked them up to his machine, and then helped them along. His last entry was triumphant. He wrote, "Success. The collection vessel is now full. The resonance is beautiful. It is a chorus of final moments, a symphony of last breaths. The silence in this room is now the loudest thing I have ever heard." A sudden, intense cold swept through the office, so cold that Leo could see his own breath. He dropped the journal on the desk. He finally understood the feeling of wrongness in this place. It wasn't just haunted by sad, lingering ghosts. It was a prison, a container for something he couldn't possibly comprehend. And then, his camera, which had been sitting on the desk recording, suddenly powered down. The battery, which he knew had been fully charged, was completely dead. He fumbled in his bag for a spare. It was dead too. As was the one after that, a cold, technological dread washed over him. He decided it was time to leave. Now, he grabbed his gear and stepped out of the office into the dark corridor of the Finch wing. The heavy double doors at the far end of the hall, the ones he had just opened, slammed shut with a deafening boom that shook the entire building. He was trapped. Panic, cold and absolute, seized him. He fumbled for his flashlight, its beam cutting a weak, trembling path through the oppressive darkness. He ran to the doors, pushing against them with all his might, but they wouldn't budge. It was as if they were being held shut by an immense, unseen force. And then he heard it. It started as a faint whisper, seeming to come from all the small, dark rooms around him at once. It was the sound of a dozen weak, rattling, final breaths, all exhaling at the same time. The sound grew louder, closer, and woven into it was a new sound. A man's voice, calm, cold, and clinical, whispering from the darkness right behind him. The subject appears agitated. Vital signs are elevated. Commencing observation. Leo screamed, a raw, terrified sound that was swallowed by the stone walls. He turned and ran blindly down the corridor away from the office, his only thought to find another way out. He fumbled with the doors to the small patient rooms, but they were all locked from the outside. He could feel the presence behind him, a wave of absolute cold that seemed to suck the very air from his lungs. He could hear the soft, dry shuffle of shoes on the dusty floor, keeping pace with him no matter how fast he ran. He finally found a door at the end of a side hallway, a supply closet. He burst inside, slammed the heavy wooden door shut, and wedged a fallen metal shelf under the handle. He collapsed to the floor in the pitch-black closet, his body shaking uncontrollably, trying to quiet his own ragged, panicked breathing. And then, from the other side of the door, he heard the voice of Dr. Finch, no longer a whisper, but a clear conversational tone, as if a doctor were speaking to a patient. "There is no need for fear," the voice said calmly. "We are simply here to observe your final moments. Your contribution to my research will be invaluable. Now please, breathe for me." The doorknob began to rattle violently. The metal shelf he had used as a barricade began to groan and bend. Leo knew he was going to die. But as he looked around the dark closet, in a final, desperate scan with his flashlight, he saw it. A small, grated ventilation shaft near the ceiling. It was his only chance. He scrambled up the shelves, his fingers tearing at the rusted grate. It finally came loose with a screech of metal. He squeezed his body into the narrow, dusty shaft, crawling on his hands and knees through a darkness filled with cobwebs and the scuttling of unseen things. Behind him, he heard the closet door crash open, followed by a long, frustrated sigh of cold, dead air. He crawled for what felt like an eternity, the rough metal tearing at his clothes and skin. He finally saw a faint glimmer of gray light ahead. He pushed at another grate, and it fell away, sending him tumbling out onto the floor of a different hallway on a different floor. He didn't wait to get his bearings. He scrambled to his feet and ran, following the faint light of the setting sun through the windows. He found a fire escape, its metal stairs rusted and treacherous, and climbed down, not stopping until his feet hit the solid, blessed ground outside. He ran through the dark, silent forest, not looking back, not stopping, until he reached his truck. He drove all night, not stopping until he was back in the bright, noisy, beautiful safety of the city. In the days that followed, he reviewed the footage from his cameras. Most of it, from the moment he entered the Finch wing, was corrupted, just a screen of hissing digital static. but he found one thing. On the audio track from his primary camera just before it died, if you turn the volume all the way up and filter out the noise, you can